Dr. Steve, when we are looking at our kids, our children are not being shot like arrows. The Bible said that a man whose quiver is full of arrows is blessed, and it equates children to arrows. But arrows have to be shot. They have to be directed. We talked a lot today about what's going on in Black and brown communities. But the truth of the matter is, if you take the stats from the Rust Belt, so-called Rust Belt states, and lay them up against the stats of the inner city, they are almost the same. That is to say, when Pittsburgh Steel and Union Carbide and all of the Monsanto and all of them pulled out of middle America and the economy came down, opioid addiction went up, teenage pregnancies went up, suicides went up, depression went up, and the stats started mirroring the same. This is not just a color problem, it's a condition problem. What do we do to stop the conditions, pierce the darkness, and get our kids aimed at a better direction?
I agree with you that this is an economic issue. Also, though, it's important to keep in mind that when America got the flu, we died of COVID. So it's always going to be worse. There's always going to be a greater set of challenges for African Americans. One of the reasons why I made the point at the top of this, that this circumstance that we find ourselves in is akin to the terrible circumstances that came out of Katrina. This opportunity that we have now with education is to take education out of the brick and mortar limitations of zip code and bring it right into your pocket, right into your pocket. We can, for the first time in the world's history, flatten opportunity. If you don't know something today, you've made the decision not to know to do it. It's simple. You know, if you want to put a deck on the back of your house all the way out to some form of heart surgery, I'm sure there's somebody on some that's going to tell you, at least get you close enough to make you look like you know what you're doing, or at least find the people who know how to do it.
That's right. We
as a community must take the same urgency that we take when we see a 5'0" child running around say he wants to become a basketball player. We must take that same urgency and put it into his mind as much as we do his body. Mm-hmm. How many of us have spent $1,100, $1,200 to send a child to AAU knowing the child is never, ever, ever going to be in the league? Maybe the League of Women Voters, but not the League of the NBA. He's a fantastic human being, but he's never, ever, ever going to be on anybody's Hall of Fame, not for his athletic prowess. We as a family, and I say that the way I mean it, we as a family owe it to one another to share information. It troubles me, really, as an educator. There are times when I know that people knew about a SAT program they didn't tell somebody about. Like getting a high score on the SAT is a finite experience, meaning if one of y'all gets a high score, I can't get the same high score. Similarly, in other communities, what you'll find, many of the Asian communities that I've seen people, I've worked with children in, they share information. They share information. If somebody knows about a program that's after school, they tell everybody. If nothing else, to make sure the daggum thing continues to run. If 5, 10, 20 of us are in there paying this tuition for this cat to teach us how to do math, then at least he's going to keep a job long enough to teach all of our kids. So all of us win. We have information. And the church is a fantastic resource. You know, one of the things I've seen you do many times, Bishop, say, tap your neighbor. Well, tap your neighbor and ask him how your child did well in school. Mm-hmm. Tap your neighbor and ask him how they were able to help their child get into college. Tap your neighbor and ask them which school do they send their child to. This information is here. We don't have to lose this time. We ain't got to lose. Racism is not going anywhere. I'll give you that. But we don't have to keep losing. There's still structural barriers, but we don't have to keep losing. Right here, right now, we can take this very same device that they're watching this conversation unfold upon, and after we're done, anything we want to learn how to do, we can figure it out. There are plenty of examples, and I'll finish here. We started this conversation about structure. If you know nothing else as a parent, you know that you got to go to bed at a particular hour, you got to wake up at a particular hour. You do not need to be a physician to know that you need somewhere around 8 hours worth of sleep. Which means you therefore have to plan the rest of your day to take some of that pressure off, as you said, Bishop. You don't need to be wealthy. You don't need to be wealthy to be bright. And what I know is that our children that I'm so fortunate to spend my days with are, to me, the most beautiful and brilliant people on earth, because if they can make it through the circumstances that this country has put in front of them, and them some bad little dudes. And I put my money on anybody who can wake up in the circumstances that we call the ghetto and make their way out. That person is special. And if you want to put your money and support behind any group of people, you got to put it behind those people who are moving children forward from places that nobody believed in them.
I get it. One of the reasons I'm doing what I'm doing right now is that I'm trying to use my platform to expose a wider audience to people and voices like yourselves, because you cannot be what you do not see. While I value your information, I think your information is important, but your information pales in importance compared to your presence, for them to see you, for you to come out of the silos of doing what you do and go mainstream. I am actually advertising you right now as possibilities to America of things you could be and do. What has been advertised to us, John, we have become. Sports has been advertised to us. Basketball's been advertised. Football's been advertised to us. Singing has been advertised. Hip-hop has been advertised to us. Preaching has been advertised to us. Everything that's been advertised to us, our kids want to be that. What has not been advertised to us is science and engineering and drafting and architectural design and
entrepreneurship.
Entrepreneurship has not been advertised to us. We don't even realize that we are innately entrepreneurs. I mean, hustling is entrepreneurship. Mm-hmm. You know, yes. we have been hustling all our lives. When people ask me what my father did, I can never answer them because he did everything.
Came up with the word hustle. We the ones that invented the word hustle. We applied it to life.
Absolutely. And this notion that we are lazy drives me utterly crazy. The drug dealers aren't even lazy. They're up all night.
No way.
They're up all night.
Up early and all day.
They get up early. They got all kind of people working for them. They're buying wholesale. They're selling retail. They're paying their staff. They're living off the profit. If you took the same principles and applied it to an actual business, you could own Xerox. It's the same principle, but some kind of way we are not seeing it. I'm supposed to be asking you a question, but I got caught up myself in explaining this to you. How do we get this in the minds of our children, and not just our children? It's not too late for our millennials. It's not too late for our Gen X's, that you can start in the middle of your life. Colonel Sanders was in his 60s when he started KFC. You don't have to be a young person to have a young dream. How do we get this thing going?
Look, Moses didn't know what he was doing until he was 80.
Right.
Mandela went to prison at 47, stayed there 26 years, and then came out and changed the world. So age is nothing but a number. But culture is everything. Somebody once told me, the co-founder of Costco said, culture is not the most important thing in business. It's the only thing in business. Wow. I took my nephew out of Baltimore, Maryland, 2 months ago. His decision, he was hanging around a bunch of knuckleheads, and luckily he realized it. He came to live with us. I've seen a transformation in this young man in a month.
Right.
I haven't done anything. It's just a different space, different place, different vibe, different role models, different things to focus attention on, different structure. We are brilliant. We are brilliant. We've been given the wrong business plan. And right now we have no business plan. We're adrift. I'm going to go back to what Mr. Perry said. This is so brilliant. And what you said, Bishop, that when the rules are published and the playing field is level, we succeed. Track. Okay, I beat you. Okay, great. Basketball. I dribble better than you. I rock the mic better than you. Whatever it is, the arts. Because the rules are published and the playing field is level. Mm-hmm. No one gave us a business plan on entrepreneurship or business or capitalism or free enterprise. By the way, Bishop, you know where the word millionaire came from? It's from my new book, The Up From Nothing, that comes out in October. Where the word millionaire came from? One of the top 10 words in the world. Mm. It came from black people. 1850, New York financing cotton mm-hmm. came from then the richest city in the world per capita was not just Mississippi, which was the slave port that processed our labor and had reverse engineered our goodwill. So we took, the fruit of our labor was transferred to somebody else whose mansion got bigger the more we worked. Now, as Perry said, we got the computer in our hand. We got no, you can't do it to us anymore. But we also can't do it to ourselves anymore. We have got to stop the madness of, what's that definition of insanity? Doing the same thing over and over again, Dr. Thomas, expecting a different outcome. All right. We're reading over from an old script, an old business plan. We got to stop looking in the past and being angry for a living. It don't work. So now it's time to focus. Here's some practical stuff. I want you to get in line for your PPP. Don't whine, don't complain, get in line. Stay in line, because persistence is your hustle. If you don't have compounded capital, have compounded hustle. Hustle on hustle creates more hustle. Stay in line till you get your check. If you're not sure how to do it, call Operation Hope. The services are free. Download Hope in Hand app. Number one. Number two, I want you to take what limited money you have or that check you're going to get from the Treasury, and I want you to pay down one credit card. I need you to do that for two reasons. One, I need you to have an insurance blanket. If you don't have savings, I need you to have access to credit. And two, I need you to get your consumer debt down so your credit score will go up. Because right now, nothing changes your life more than God or love than moving your credit score 120 points. And if you have a credit score of 700 on the other side of this and a little liquidity, you are golden. The new color is not black or white, it's green.
Yeah.
I did the Gayle King show last week. CBS This Morning. My website crashed, Bishop. I told these folks I could restructure your mortgage. I can negotiate with your creditors. I can get your forbearance on your credit cards. You know, the same thing I say to black folks. First time in 28 years, my website crashed. That's mainstream America going, I'm getting me some of that. Mm-hmm. We have got to get the fog out of our brains. We've got it. Somebody was telling me, we need a more. Quincy Jones told me we need a moratorium on childhood trauma. I'm sorry, Dr. Thomas. I don't mean to I'm not diminishing it. I'm saying we have got to treat it and then find a way to multitask and be bilingual and move on at the same time, because the world's not waiting for us. I need you, if you have a credit line, you have a $25,000 credit line, I need you to download $22,000 of it right now. Or as my daddy would say, right now. Because they could come in today at the small print and change a $25,000 credit line to $10,000 because they're nervous, because your consumer credit is up. I need you to download that money, to take it out of the bank that the credit line's in and put it into another bank that they can't touch. Now, because that gives you more liquidity. It allows you to pay down that consumer credit I just talked about, get your credit score up. Now, I need you to wait till this is over and then pay that line back if nothing happens. But if you need the money, I'd rather you to have it and not need it than to need it and not have it. I want you to go get your earned income tax credit. People say, what? That means you're approved. 1 out of 4 Americans qualify for EITC. You make $54,000 a year and you breathe, you qualify. But 1 out of 4 Americans don't get it. And it's retroactive for 3 years, Bishop. If you make $38,000 a year, you got 2 children. That's a $3,500 check. Forget PPP for now. And if you have never filed, that's 10 grand. Mm-hmm. Go get your money. You work, go get your money. So it's unemployment insurance, PPP, it's EITC, it's city, state, federal programs, it's education. Really, all we're talking about is education. It's education, hustle, and execution. And set yourself up for the rebound, because I'm already buying. My mind's already shifted to the opportunity. But most of us are so focused on crisis management and how bad this is, we don't realize that the rest of the world has already moved on to discounted stocks, discounted investments. Corporations are going to spin off divisions. I need everybody who's got any resources watching this. Corporations you're seeing on TV right now are going to spin off, Gap, all these folks, they're going to be spinning off divisions. They'll give it away. But you got to be in a position to say yes.
I want to deal with this, and I'm going to wrap this up. I don't want to take too much advantage of your time, but we have a learned behavior. That's all culture is. It's a learned behavior, and it has become almost like concrete in the way that we perceive and we digest and appropriate information.